and welcome to your weekly dose of fun, frolics, and video games. My name's Adam Cook, and I'm here with Chris White.
Hello.
That was a really poor attempt, wasn't it, man? I did try, but
no, it was good enough. We don't need any fancy intros. It's all about what we talk about and the entertainment we provide.
We do, like my dog barking in the background that I hope that's not being recorded for posterity. He does that a lot. I'm just going to put this out here right now that having a dog is great. You're a dog owner.
Yes.
You love your dog. I love mine too. Every time I try to record anything, he starts barking. As people will see if they keep an eye on God is a Geek's YouTube channel this week. We did an unboxing, and then, do you know what? He barked so much, I thought, let's just make it a feature. You'll see that video soon. We're going to talk about some furious slashing this week in Darksiders 3, but rather than me start off, because it feels a bit harsh, because Gaz couldn't be here, he's poorly, and he obviously loved Darksiders 3. They gave it 9 out of 10.
Yes.
I'm going to say right now, if I were reviewing it, which I wasn't, and I haven't finished it, I'd be looking at more the 6.5 mark, and that's the teaser. We're going to come back to that. We're going to pop a pin in the furious slashing and come back to that, because I've been waiting to talk to someone about this game, and finally someone on the podcast has played it. Chris, what have you been up to?
Well, I've been playing, for the majority of my time over the last week, Hitman 2. Yeah.
I've heard that's a very good game.
You've heard right. I'm very much in love with it. I think it's I'm having a lot of fun. Very, very much like the first game, except a lot harder in terms of the fact you can't just go in, ignore all the kind of the opportunities and go and kill them. You kind of have to embrace those side bits, if you know what I mean. So,
interesting.
How I found it in the first one is that every level you could go in and you could see the red outline of them or shadow of them, find a way to get in and kill them. Now, whilst you can still kind of do that, I still found it was necessary to kind of do these, like you get mission pop-ups where something will arise and you'll overhear a conversation and they'll like for example, in Mumbai there's a tailor who you overhear talking. They're making something for this Queen of the Slums, she's called, and you can choose to find him, knock him out, steal his disguise, become that tailor, and then go and speak to her, that kind of thing. The missions that I've done are very much guarded by a hell of a lot of like soldiers, so you can't just walk in and you can't just go and find them because they're swarming. So there's a lot more kind of tactical edge to it, which I really like. And I was saying on Twitter earlier that mission took me at least two hours to do.
Wow.
That's because not just to kill the two people, there's like another mission where...
To be fair, that is a huge map.
Yeah.
That is a big map. Yeah, I think that one took me the longest as well, I think. I mean, it's just... I loved it, though. I didn't have any problems with taking my time and being patient. It was only towards the end where I fucked up a little and then had to kind of think on my feet, because one thing you don't want to do in Hitman is get in combat, like getting a heated, gunfight, because you'd just be overwhelmed by the sheer amount of kind of soldiers and guards and that are there. So you do have to kind of play it safe throughout, or else you'll die a lot. So, like, that Mumbai level, there's that the chap you can assassinate in the sort of skyscraper, the filmmaker, I think he is. That's a perfect example of me of how big those levels are, because that felt that the amount of opportunities alone in that third of that level feel like almost a Hitman 1 level on their own. Yeah,
because exactly, because that kind of brief bit entails so much to it on its own that it adds the time to it. So it's not as easy as it used to be. I don't feel, not that it was ever easy, but I like the different levels to each kill. Basically, it's just very smart.
It's kind of odd that so you think Hitman 2 is harder than Hitman 1, and I know Hitman 1 isn't the first Hitman, but we call it that for ease of
Yeah, I think
you think it's harder now.
It's definitely more challenging from what I've played so far.
Fascinating, because I
found Hitman 2 easier because I felt more confident, because obviously they've refined the mechanics slightly so that, like, you know, the whole screen flashes yellow almost when it's like something's happening, you know what I mean, when you're compromised. Like, I felt like the cues are clearer. I think Hitman 2 is such a special game. Like, it kills me that there's not people like posting videos and stuff on Twitter and sharing images, because like it just feels built for it. And I don't know, man. I don't know what's gone wrong with that game. Why is no one talking about that game?
I don't know. It is a shame, because I mean the first one got a fair amount of publicity out of it, and I suppose that has a lot to do with the fact that they released like a level every couple of months or every month.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It is a shame, because just the level design is insane. Like that first mission in Miami, the different parts to it. You've got like the racing course, you've got the main tech building, you've got kind of like the bay area or the bits around the water, and it's just a massive game for what it is, and it gives you a hell of a lot of freedom to take people out how you want to take them out. You never feel restricted, and it does offer tons of replay ability for the fact that it gives you, like, when you complete a mission, you've got like all those little boxes, and each one indicates a way for you to, you know, kill someone or complete one of the side missions. So you can go back and do it again and do it a completely different way if you want.
I do think the episodic thing's hurting it. Because a lot of people are like, I mean, I don't know how much have you played all the missions yet, or are you still sort of getting through them? No,
I'm getting through them. Yeah,
but that's the thing. Like, I feel like what I've been doing is trying to master each level, because I've started it again on PS4 because I played it on PC initially, and I feel like it not being episodic, because the weird thing is when you download the game on PS4, because this didn't happen on PC, is like it downloads all the episodes separately still, so it does feel like someone wanted this to be episodic, and it just makes you wonder if Warner went, no, we're not doing that, we don't want to, you know, this cycle, we want to just put the game out as it is, and they did, and it's still an amazing game, but like I wonder if they'd even put out, say, 2 or 3 of them and then put out like a 4th and 5th, and I don't know, man. I think you can
play them out of sync as well, because they're all
you can refuse to follow the story thread.
So it does seem like they were planning on doing something episodic in the first place, which is weird.
It really does.
It's a shame that no one's really playing it, because it is one of the finer games of the year. It offers a hell of a lot out of it, and it is a shame.
I mean, a resounding buy it from God is a Geek. I don't know anyone who's played it on our site and hasn't sort of endorsed it. The same can't be true of Fallout 76, which I don't want to dwell on for ages, but I've played a bit more of that now, because Nicola wanted to play. I think she said on the podcast the other week, actually, she wanted to play some multiplayer, and we did do that. I was going to use that in the video review, but for some reason, this new device I'm using, it's the first time it's failed. Otherwise, it's brilliant. And I lost all the footage. It just had audio. And it's kind of... so I'll say I don't like this game, okay?
Yeah.
I'll just say that. Like, I don't like it, but I don't think it's the worst game I've ever played. I don't think it's even close to it. I actually... From personal, I can only really say from my personal experience, it's not even the buggiest Fallout I've played. Like, I reviewed Fallout New Vegas for this very website many years ago on PS3, and that game was legendarily buggy on PS3, like to the point where people get stuck in the ground. And I saw all of that stuff, and that, I don't know, it's just neither here nor there, because, you know, by the time you've played, you talked about the bugs in Fallout 76, they may have patched 5 of them. You know, it is not a brilliant game. I don't like it very much, but I do understand it more now I've played it in co-op or multiplayer. Like, I do think, I don't know, Nicola, I think Nicola's review is amazing, because I think she approached the review in the correct way for me personally.
Oh, hands down, yeah.
In that it's not a Fallout game. It's called Fallout, but it's not a Fallout game, just like Metal Gear Survive isn't a Metal Gear game. It's a survival game, and Nicola's played a lot of those. I have too, and I think it's an okay one of those, but overall not a great game. But it is a survival game. That means you do have to manage, you know, health. Sorry, your hunger, your thirst. You do have to craft stuff. There is aimless wandering, and there is usually, like in Ark, or there's not a huge amount of story. It's not, you know, the dinosaurs don't give you quests. Do you know what I mean? In Ark, and I think I'll be brutally honest, I've never liked Ark, and I'd rather play Fallout 76 than Ark, which is neither a ringing endorsement of either game, for the record. But like, where do you sit on Fallout? Do you like the games?
I adore. I think Fallout 3 is in my top 3 of all time. Like I adored that game, and I love Vegas. Didn't really like Fallout 4 too much. It was more of the same. But in terms of Fallout 76, I've got no inclination to play it. But I do feel that it's getting unfair treatment for certain things. I think the bugs and the constant issues people are getting.
I will just sorry to interject there, but I will just say, releasing a game at whatever it is, £40 quid, $60, then discounting it less than a week, 2 weeks later, that's shitty.
Oh yeah,
like putting up blog posts about how we know it's going to be a rocky ride or whatever, and we're gonna get through this together is fine. Don't then discount the game after people have paid. That's I get it. Games drop in price, I get it, but like not
not a week or so.
Shitty to do that.
Especially when it's like 15, 20 quid more than that, even in like some places.
Yeah.
But in terms of the bugs, I think that's a joke that needs to be fixed. If it is as bad as, I mean, obviously I haven't played it, so I can't really comment on certain things, but from what I've heard,
I didn't play enough hourage to kind of honestly say if it's buggy or not.
I mean, I know Nick said in the video review that we did with it that there's quite a lot, which is a shame, and it shouldn't be accepted. Bethesda, like Mick was saying actually in our Slack channel about how they've got Wolfenstein and Doom and all these games, and I know it's different, slightly different, but if you're releasing a game in today's day and age, it can't be as buggy as the Fallout universe always has been.
But that's the thing. You've kind of hit on a thing there. Like, how is anyone shocked a Fallout game's buggy?
I know. Yeah. I suppose you just kind of hope that maybe this time.
But until they either really really patch that engine up or just do a Fallout in a new engine, I don't see it changing anytime soon.
No, you're right. But in terms of the survival elements and saying that there's no missions, there's no RPG elements and all this, well, that's ridiculous because it's never said it was. It's not saying it's something that it isn't. It's no different to Metal Gear Survive, to No Man's Sky, to Minecraft in the sense that there is no mission there really. I mean, well, No Man's Sky is slightly different and Survive slightly different in Metal Gear, but there is...
Fallout does have a through line.
Yeah, but it's not an overly exciting going and solving missions like... Yeah. But I just feel it's getting a harsh rap for that. Like, it's a survival game. It's never said it is anything else. So why people are kicking off about it? I don't get it.
I still, don't get me wrong, I don't like it. And I personally wouldn't recommend people buy it unless you definitely have a crew you can play it with. And then, I enjoyed spending 2 hours just chatting with Nicola while we were playing it. Like, that was fun. That was an enjoyable way to pass 2 hours because I get on with Nicola and we chatted for 2 hours while playing a video game. There are games, some people refer to them as a podcast game. Like, you listen to a podcast like this one while playing a game like World of Warcraft where you've done everything you need to do and you've seen everything you need to see, but you're playing it anyway. Destiny 2 is another one.
Yeah.
For me, Fallout 76 needs other players, and I don't know how much other people will agree with that, but I don't. And that, to be honest with you, I don't play that way nowadays. People listen to this podcast. I think you and I both. They know that you and I both would veer towards the single player story campaigns. That's probably because that's how we were brought up.
Yeah.
We were of a generation where games were played either solo or with people in the room.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's not to say we're dinosaurs and don't enjoy them, because, Overwatch is one of my favourite games, probably of all time, in the top 10, actually. It's that good, and that's just a multiplayer-focused game. Fallout 76 needs people, and I think it needs people in the party chat with you, and I'm not going to go on about Fallout 76, because I think we're perhaps giving it more airtime than it even deserves, but I don't think it's the devil. I'm not going to play any more of it. I have no inclination to, because I don't have the time to sit and play for hours with people. It's not for me.
Yeah.
The Darksiders 3, Chris. That's a strange way to lead into that game. So, I am a huge Darksiders fan. Before we get into it, have you played the previous ones? Where are you?
Oh, I love them. I love them. Okay. I love them. They're very, very good fun. I like them. I like everything about them, really.
Yeah, I mean, so we got PC code for this decently early, and Gary reviewed it, and then we got PS4 code, and I jumped on it basically. Like I thought we weren't going to get code till nearer the release, so it's a bit like, well, fine. You can't review everything. Gary's playing it on PC. His PC's code's the way to go. I don't have time to. If I'm sat at a PC, unless it's difficult to dedicate time to reviewing a game, unless I really have to, because I tend to be working, and working often doesn't involve actually playing games. Funny enough.
Yeah.
So. I love these games, and it always impressed me the way they change them up. I'm not one of these that... I think sometimes certain games have this revisionist history where at the time people really enjoyed them, but years later it's like, oh no, that was crap. The biggest example of that is BioShock Infinite. That was loved at the time, and now years later people talk about how shit it is. And for me it's like, nah, sorry, I'm not on board with that. I love it still. I still love that game.
It's incredible.
And I felt that way about Darksiders 1. I loved it. And Darksiders 2 I loved. And I know people say 2 was worse or really bad, and I just don't agree.
No.
If Darksiders 1 was Zelda, but adult, and that it was dungeon based, that's Zelda, If Darksiders 2 was that, but with Diablo thrown in, loot and that, Darksiders 3, I agree with Gary, is Darksiders by way of Souls. And you'd think, well, Adam, you're describing your own perfect game. Souls and Darksiders, third person action. So the thing is, it borrows some of the shit parts that don't make sense without the rest of them.
Right.
So, for example, it assumes you've played loads of Souls games, okay?
Yeah.
Now, the reason I say that is because the first time you die in Darksiders 3, you respawn at a Volgrim checkpoint, you've lost all your souls, and you've gone back like 20 minutes in the game, and you're like, wait, why have I lost all that progress? Wait, where are my souls gone? Now, you and I have played lots of Souls games.
Yep.
So we can quickly go, oh, okay, this is a Souls kind of game. Now, I don't want to keep saying that, but I've seen comments online about, why do people compare it to action? I'm not saying it's an action-adventure game in that mould. I'm saying they actually took the Souls style and went, we're making one of those in the way that The Surge did. In the way that, was it Lords of Shadow?
Lords
of the Shadow?
Lords of the Fallen?
Yeah, Lords of the Fallen, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the way that they did, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? If you make a good one. Like, The Surge was pretty good, and I was enjoying it till I got that game-breaking bug. If the thing is, Darksiders hasn't earned that. It's not Dark Souls 3, where you're playing the third Dark Souls game, and you're going, oh yeah, well I know that when I die I respawn at a bonfire, the world's respawned, enemies are back, and I've lost my souls, and I have to go and get them back. Dark Souls has earned that. It's the pioneer of that kind of thing, and you know that by the third one, that's what happens. That's not been a Darksiders thing.
Yeah.
So to just have you die, have all the world respawn, and have no souls in your inventory it's not earned the right. It's not earned that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And to throw you back 20 minutes again, you and I might get it quite quickly, and anyone who's... I mean, Souls are popular. It's a popular game now, isn't it? FromSoft, a big, big dev now. But yeah. I still feel like this game doesn't earn that. It hasn't earned the right to just assume we're doing this time. It doesn't. It actually never even tells you. It never even says, by the way, you've lost your souls, go back to the way you died and you can get them back. It never tells you. Not once.
Huh.
So that's what I mean when I say it doesn't earn that.
Yeah.
The other thing that is related to the same kind of thing is that they've borrowed that from FromSoft's game, but what they've not done is done it properly. So again, I really apologise. I will get onto the rest of the game, but this is such an important part of the critique for me personally to get this out that I have to get this out now. This is my platform, as it were, because I didn't review it. This is my chance to say one of the biggest issues, right, in Dark Souls 3, okay? You clear out an area, you get to the boss eventually. The boss is usually signposted. You can tell you're going to, not always, but usually signposted, you can tell you're going to encounter a boss, right?
Yeah.
Usually there's a bonfire nearby. Often you'll have opened a shortcut back to a bonfire. You have two choices. If you've cleared that area in a really clever manner and you've not taken any hits, you can just have a go at the boss. But the likelihood is what you're going to do is bank your souls because you're right next to the boss door. Don't risk losing them. Level up maybe, which, is the same in Darksiders 3. However, what you get when you... It's a risk-reward thing. By resting at a bonfire in a Dark Souls game, you respawn the world with enemies, okay? But you also get your health back and your Estus flasks back, okay? We know this. This is the thing that happens.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen in Darksiders. So it even has I forget what it's called, Nephilim's Might, it might be called, but it's basically an Estus flask. And even to the point where you can upgrade how much it heals you and how many times you can use it. It is exactly that formula. When you hit a Volgrim checkpoint, even when you've opened, because it does the whole thing of like shortcuts back to the boss and stuff, even when you've done those, you go to Volgrim and you go to a level up, you bank your souls, it doesn't respawn the enemies and it doesn't give you your health and your Nephilim's Might back. Right? So let's say you've got to a boss, you've cleared the area out and you've taken a hit, and you almost certainly have, because the grunt enemies in this game are harder than the bosses, in my opinion, bar one, which is like Ornstein Smaug kind of level. Not quite that bad, but that sort of thing, 2-on-1 fight.
Yeah.
So you could be in a situation where you are stood. The best one, I think, is Avarice, was the one this worked out at. I actually found a shortcut all the way back, and I found it, and then I carried on and thought, right, I'm going to go do the boss. And I go to the boss, and there's another Volgrim checkpoint that's right outside the boss arena. It's like, right, what's the point of the shortcut then? Because I can just fast travel here every time. Anyway, I'm at that checkpoint. I've got half health and no health potions left, right? I can't get more health potions back. I can't hit a bonfire and respawn the enemies. Because in this game, if you kill enemies, you get souls, but you also get health potions and you get magic. It's a bit like the DMC thing of like you hit an enemy and you get different coloured orbs coming out.
Right, okay.
But if I've cleared the enemies out, there's none left to clear. If I can't respawn them by hitting a checkpoint, I can't get any health back. The only option you really got is to sort of fast travel to another location, kill a load of enemies and fast travel back, which is an option, but it's a shit one. So what you're kind of left with the situation is, well, I'm going to go in and have the boss, just have a look at his attacks, let him kill me, because I can't beat him with half health and no potions. He's going to kill me, so I'm just throwing a life away. To me, that's poor design.
Yeah.
To me, the good design, if you're going to borrow from those games, is to have that mechanic of like, you can go into the menu even. Like, you know, like in Souls, you go to the bonfire and activate it, but that does nothing. It's only when you rest at the bonfire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, that's quite an issue. I also think the difficulty's all over the shop. Like, I found some of the bosses in this game absurdly easy, and yet a grunt enemy can jump at you, hit you 3 times and kill you. And that highlights the biggest issue with the whole game. I'm okay with it being a bit hack and slashy, like a bit of a button masher at times. It's not quite button mashy, but it is a slashy game.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. It's actually kind of refreshing to not have to think of all the combos and shit, just to actually, you know, there's no moves to unlock after you make peace with it. It's absolutely fine that it's just that. That's what this game is. You get hollows, which give you other powers, but they map that. When you get the new power, you get a weapon that maps to triangle on PS4, and you can mix it and match it up with heavy attacks and stuff like that. It's absolutely the combat's fine and manageable. It's got a Bayonetta style dodge for bullet time almost. The problem is the feedback from getting hit is terrible for me.
Right.
Like, you can die and you'll be like, oh shit. And then only then will you look at your health bar and go, oh wow, I got hit more times than I could take. And there never feels like you have a solid grasp on how much damage you can take, because it never feels like there's good feedback for being hit.
Yeah.
And that stems from very early in the game, where you can be whipping an enemy, 3 attacks, and then suddenly they just break through your attack and stagger you, and then another one hits you and another one hits you. Before you know it, you've taken 3 hits from 3 enemies and you're dead, because for some reason they can stagger you, but you can't stagger them. Only sometimes you can stagger them, and I don't know why. I don't know what it is that makes them sometimes... like late on in the game, almost 10 plus hours in, I finally understood how to break an enemy's block. There's some enemies that have weapons, they just block, and it's like, I don't know how to break their block. There's no guard crush I'm aware of, and it's only eventually after just trying everything is that I realised, oh, okay, if you hit them a few times, they go into a block animation, but there's usually enough time with one of your hollows that you can hold triangle, do a heavy attack, which breaks their block. But it never tells you that. You just have to work that out.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's not for me.
Like, it's very frustrating, because I feel like underneath this all, there is actually a very good game, and the game I wanted. But it's fine. Like, Gary's entitled to his opinion, as am I. Like Chris, you and I have both reviewed games that I know we would disagree on. I mean, we joke about it now, but like Middle Earth. You gave that game a 10. I don't know what I'd give it. I didn't actually finish it to say I'll give it a score, but I wouldn't have given it a 10. You know what I mean?
Of course.
It happened. Gary and I disagreed on Resi 7. These things happen. I'd like him to have been here, but he's poorly. Genuinely, he'll have his say. Don't worry. Like, we will talk about this game again. I found that I would get into a flow with it where I kind of made peace with the things that bugged me, like the checkpointing system. And I would spend a good 40 minutes really enjoying myself, exploring, enjoying the combat, enjoying everything about it almost. And then I would feel like a cheap death, like just a couple of slashes. And it's like, I killed Sloth, the boss. I think I took just a few hits. I used 1 health potion the whole boss battle, and that was first go. The next boss I then faced was Lust, which there's not many bosses make you angry, but that felt like some hot bullshit. And in between all that, I would have died to a dodgy hit, and it felt cheap, and I felt punished. And it sounds like I hate it. I don't hate it. But I don't understand why they've gone that. It's admirable that they keep changing the games. It's admirable that they keep trying to do something different each sequel. Because, how many times do people go, oh, Gears of War, just more Gears of War? You know what I mean?
Mm.
It's admirable. But I don't understand the reasoning behind going after that kind of genre, other than when they were developing it, that was really fashionable.
Yeah.
And I feel like if they were going to do it, they've not quite... Like, the thing that people laud for the FromSoft games is the world building. Like, I think that I do. People have listened to my Bloodborne eulogies on the world building and the narrative. I don't feel that this nails it. Like, it needs patching on PS4. When Gary's, cause I didn't. Long story short, we were going to use his PC footage for the review, but I had a problem getting hold of the files. They were just playing me up. But when I watched it, I was shocked, like, at how much better it looked and how much smoother it ran. And there maybe is an element that, his game's running at 60 frames, and those, an action game like that, the higher frame rate's really, really good.
Yeah.
And I had bits where it chugged. I had, when a game's streaming off the world, and it will sometimes it doesn't happen much now, but the game freezes because it's streaming in the next part of the world. I had that quite a lot, and it got worse. And I don't know. I feel like the whole game on PS4 and this is on Pro, is running with anti-aliasing turned off as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's not good.
I do like it. If I said this on Twitter, I think, and I would probably give it a 6.5. I think it's decent. And I'm really pleased we got the game. But I feel like there are just a few too many missteps. I desperately... I kept playing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
I didn't have to. But that doesn't mean it's a 2 out of 10. Sometimes that 6 or 7 out of 10 games, you just can't help finishing them. It's...
Yeah.
Nicola's still playing Fallout, even though she said it's a 6 out of 10. She says it's not an amazing game, but she still keeps playing it. It's... I don't know, Chris. I just... I don't understand why they went that route with it. I don't understand why they made the checkpoint in the way they did. It's a strange game to me. It feels out of time a little bit.
It seems like quite a big change of pace for the Darksiders games to go to that kind of gameplay. Personally, that's what it sounds like. Some games have done that before. Like Assassin's Creed, every game from the beginning was slight variations on the gameplay, and then they released Origins, and that embraced that style. And please, if anyone's listening, and there is an actual term for Souls games, like the actual term of combat, tell us, because I don't want to keep saying Souls. It's
action adventure game, isn't it? I suppose, but
yeah,
it's easier to say Souls.
That style with the two different types of attack and the blocking and the rolling, that they use that for an open world game. And
it's funny you mentioned the blocking and the rolling and that. That one thing I felt like almost the entire game is that I wish I had a block button instead of a dodge button.
You can't block.
No, there's no blocking. It's just dodging. And the whole game I felt like I wanted some kind of block. And I kept expecting that to go away, and eventually, I'd say 12 hours in, I'd stopped caring about that.
Yeah.
I don't know, Chris. It's a really hard one, because if people are like me and they love the Darksiders games, I kind of don't think I'm going to be able to stop them from buying it, because
No.
you want to know, right? But
Yeah, of course.
and it's got some good writing and some terrible writing. It's like the sloth battle, like it's really campy, and his character, like, he calls her darling and stuff, and it's really campy and quite funny. But at the same time, it does this thing like where when you first go to because the whole the design idea is that rather than dungeons, the whole world's it's like I say, it's a Soul style. The whole world's one big dungeon with sub dungeons, and I suppose the first time when you get a new power, there's like a puzzle where you have to hit find 3 swords. Well, 2 because one's already there. Find 2 swords, add them to the puzzle to make 3 swords, and hit them all to unlock the exit. And Fury says, "Oh, it's always 3, isn't it?" And the Watcher, who's with her, is like, "What do you mean?" And it's kind of like talking to the player, like, "Oh, yeah, there's always 3. Why are there always 3 things? Why do you always have to get 3 things?" And it's like, that's quite funny.
Yeah.
But you're still making me do it. So, you're making a commentary on game design, and you're doing the thing you're taking the piss out of. and they do that later with something else. I can't think what it is, but they do this. They do it again. And I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to listen. The Witcher 3 did that with that goat mission where you have to ring the bell to get the goat to follow you, and they take the piss out of it, but you still have to do it. And I just think that's a silly thing to do. So I'm going to finish this unless you have anything you want to say about Darksiders.
I just got a quick question. Like Gary was saying, the main character, he started off not warming to her that much, but by the end he quite liked her. Like, what is she like as a character in the Darksiders?
It's pretty hammy, to be honest with you. She starts off hating everyone, and she's Fury. She's furious. As I say, the furious slashing. She's Fury. She hates everyone, especially humans. What a waste of time. And guess what? She warms to people over she questions her own purpose in the world, and she starts out, "I'm just doing this mission, blah blah blah. Don't care. Couldn't care less about war. Couldn't care less about death. Don't care less about the fourth one that isn't pestilence. I can't remember what his name is. What is he in this? I can't remember. But it's not pestilence. It's the one that isn't pestilence. Anyway, she starts off, I don't care. I'm Fury, raw." And midway through the game, she starts to warm, and it's exactly what you would expect. And I say I don't come to the game for story. I do, because I really enjoyed the sort of campiness, I guess, of Darksiders. And it's fine. I think one mistake they make is they keep like wars in the opening cutscene, and because she's so abrasive when you start, all it does is make you wish you were playing as War.
Yeah.
But she's fine. She's one of the horsemen. That's another thing about the writing, by the way. The amount of times they refer to her as a horseman, it's like, call her Rider. Call her now. So Volgrim, and I mean every time you leave his menu, whether you've bought something or upgraded, he goes, "Do make them suffer, horseman." And it's like, every time you're reminding me that you couldn't think of a word to describe a woman without saying horseman. Like, just
that seems a bit
call
stupid.
Call her Fury. Do make them suffer, Fury, or do make them suffer, Rider. Anything.
Yeah.
Just stop calling her horseman. Now, I don't know. Maybe that's the correct term. The term is the term, but it just feels stupid. They keep calling this woman a horseman. I don't know. Do you refer to women riders as horsemen? Or maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Answers on a postcard. But it felt egregious from the very onset. Like, stop calling her a horseman. Just call her Fury. Why can't they call her Fury? I don't know. Anyway, Darksiders 3. For me, a decent game, and if you love the series, you're going to want to play it because it's Darksiders. They definitely want a 4th game, by the way. I'll say no more than that. I hope they get it, because they're definitely, from what I gather, quite a small team worked on this. I get the feeling that's what THQ Nordic are doing. They're like smaller teams, sort of AA games, not AAA, and appealing to the audience that wants them, and I think that's really cool. I really hope they get more, because I think there is a really good, by the time this podcast's out, they may have patched some of the issues out. Some of it's fixable. Some of the performance stuff is fixable. I hope they do. I hope the game does well, despite what I've said about it, because I'm just glad 6 years later we got our Darksiders 3. I mean, what are you gonna? Where do you sit now? You've heard Gary's side, you've heard mine.
I'm quite happy to wait. There's a lot of games that I've not managed to play this year that I want to play, so it'll be bottom of the pile. But I mean, wow. Between both opinions, I would like to see what it's like, just to kind of see how I find the combat. But I'm not. I've got the remasters. I'll play them.
I kind of just wanted to go back and play them, mate. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, they're awesome.
I just kind of felt that's what I kept nagging at me. I was like, because I love it's my style of game anyway. The sort of third-person action adventure. It's probably my favourite style. But what I found myself thinking about an awful lot was God of War. Now, it's unfair to compare those games because the budget God of War had, you could probably make the entire quadrilogy of Darksiders game for. But I kept thinking about God of War's combat and how much nuance there was to it and how they made Kratos a likeable character despite his multiple games history. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just I couldn't help thinking of it a little bit. But there you go. Darksiders 3. Gary loved it. I like it, but I'm a little disappointed, if I'm honest with you. But let's move into news, and it's mostly rumours this week. There's not an awful lot about, but there are rumours swirling that Alien: Blackout, that's not the name of the game, Alien Blackout, might be being announced at the Game Awards on December the 6th. Essentially, there has been a 20th Century Fox trademark for an unannounced video game called Alien Blackout spotted. And it also sort of tallies up with a Twitter tease from the Game Awards, obviously Jeff Keighley, who posted an image including the words, "Worlds will change." Now, the font looks like the Weyland-Yutani one, and it's got a big W in this. I can't remember if that's the logo or not, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah, I think it is.
But the thing is, who's developing it and what kind of game is it? Because I don't think Creative Assembly are making a follow-up to Alien Isolation.
Well, when you said Alien: Blackout, people could have misheard that and thought you said Colonel, whatever it is, Marines.
Yeah,
so I was like, shit. No, well, I hope not. I don't. There's only been 2 great Alien games on the.
2. What's the second one?
On disc, I would go with Alien Trilogy. And then
I can't remember that.
Alien Trilogy on the PlayStation. It was fucking amazing. It was like one of the first games I had on the PS1, and it was just a first-person shooter that went through the 3 games. I love that. And then Alien Isolation is the only other game. Like, I remember I did that thing on it ages ago. I did a feature.
Yeah, I remember.
And one of them was Alien 3 on the Mega Drive, and then Alien Trilogy, and then Alien Isolation. I just think it's such a hard game to get right, and I think Alien Isolation was perfection in terms of that Alien game that we all wanted. It just nailed it, and I just think with that being the last Alien game to come out, that it's got a lot to live up to. Whether it's a different style or what, I don't know.
So I can give shed some light on this because Eurogamer did a bit of digging. And it looks as though it's the work of a US studio called Cold Iron, they say. And if you look at Cold Iron Studios.com, literally they've got a very, very empty website. But one of them says, "We're hiring," and it's a picture of a Xenomorph. So according to their website, they are making an Alien game. It's a new PC and console shooter. And there's apparently Eurogamer say a whiff of destiny about the project. Fox, yeah, I know. Fox next president of studios Aaron Loeb, Loeb, said in a press release in January 2018, "I'm a personal fan of Cold Iron's previous work, and all of us at Fox Next Games are thrilled to be working them as they create an action-packed, persistent world steeped in mysteries of this beloved Alien universe."
Persistent world. I don't know. I won't judge too harshly, but that doesn't sound like something I'd want to play.
Doesn't sound like Alien Colonial Marines 2, does it?
No.
Oh, well.
I don't know. I don't know. I think you can't really make a sequel to Isolation. Well, you could.
Maybe not.
But you don't need to.
No, I know what you mean. Maybe you're right. Maybe it's the Bloodborne 2 thing of like, yeah, you could, but why would you?
Yeah, exactly. And if it is something different, fair enough. If it is going down that route of Destiny, don't know, because I don't really... I can never...
If it was good, because part of the thing about Destiny I can't get into is I just don't care about the lore. Aliens I do. I could get into it if it was good.
If it's a persistent world multiplayer, then
yeah, okay.
Are certain people that play it going to be aliens? Because it's not going to be humans versus humans. So, but then are you going to upgrade? Oh, so many questions.
Maybe we'll get the answers at the Game Awards.
Maybe.
I don't know. Another thing I think could get announced at the Game Awards is that there's rumours abound as well that Skyward Sword is getting a Switch port. Now, that seems like the kind of thing Nintendo could turn around reasonably quickly because everyone's if you're not a fan of Smash Bros, like Nintendo this year, for the last few months and for the next few months, it's kind of like there's the sort of port of Super Mario Brothers New Super Mario Brothers U Switch, which is such a stupid name for a game because it's called Mario U because it's on the Wii U and it's now on Switch. So anyway, that's in January, I believe. But Zelda Skyward Sword, basically the where is it? So Anuma sort of said, "I know what you're thinking, Skyward Sword to Switch, right?" And there's like an applause and there's like some pictures tweeted and stuff, and it's like. Yeah. I'd play that because I didn't get on with it when it was released on Wii, and I know it, like we gave it a 10 at the time. I remember Sean Smith actually loving it, but I didn't. I felt it just took way too long to get going that game. But it would be an easy win for them, right?
Yeah, I understand. It's another Zelda game to play.
Yeah, because there's been rumours that the next Zelda might not be as long away as we think, and obviously that would suggest people going, "Oh, a new Zelda game." What if it's just this? I
doubt there'd be another Breath of the Wild for a long time. I think this does fill those voids of people missing it, but you ain't getting a sequel to Breath of the Wild for 2, 3, 4 years, I don't think.
And what about Batman? Have you got a void in your life where Batman is or isn't, I suppose?
I've always got a void for Batman to fill.
So, Batman Arkham Collection is reportedly in the pipeline. It's not going to come with Arkham Origins. It's going to be Arkham Asylum. No, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight.
Nah.
Really? Are you an Arkham Origins fan?
Oh, man. No, I thought if it's not coming with Origins...
it's the 3 Rocksteady ones, not the one that was done by Warner Brothers Montreal.
When they first came out, played them to death. Because I reviewed the other ones for the PS4, played them to death again. And I love
That's
Batman.
what I'm a bit confused about. Didn't these already come out?
So, yeah, they re-released Arkham Asylum and Arkham City as Return to Arkham Collection or something.
Right.
And then obviously there was Arkham Knight. So if they're announcing an Arkham Collection, it'll be those two again, no real difference, plus Arkham Knight. So essentially, just go into a shop, buy them all together. Why does it need to be on the same disc? I don't really get it. That's why I thought it was going to include Origins. I know it's different studio, but...
No, but it's part of them, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Origins gets a bit of a bad rap. I don't think it's anywhere near as good as the other 3, but I don't think it's awful either. I've tried to finish Origins a few times, and I couldn't quite get through it, but... No,
it's the only Arkham game I have never finished. But
maybe that says more than... maybe that says quite a lot.
Yeah. But that doesn't make sense to me. Why they've not included all 4. It's just pointless. You can pick them up dirt cheap anyway, so what are they giving you extra? I suppose we'll find out. But it just seems like a silly thing for me.
It does seem a little bit confusing. I mean, would you be... See, I've often worried about... one of the games I would love to have time to play is Arkham Knight, because I loved it, gave it a 10 at the time, stand by it, but I worry if it's aged.
It hasn't. I played it a couple of months ago, just because it's stayed on my PS4. I've had it downloaded for not since it came out, because I've had a new PS4 since then. But I had it and downloaded it, played it a couple of months ago, and it's still a lot of fun. I was doing all the DLC stuff, like the Batgirl stuff and that, and I dabbled with the main game. But yeah, it's still ace.
Well, again, this could be another Game Awards thing. Who knows? They do save some big awards for that, big news for that usually. But let's move on to listener correspondence. Thomas has sent us a few questions, which we'll get through. One of these I can answer quite quickly. Will Adam please buy the Red Dead PS4 Pro for his current console is interrupting our viewing pleasure on the videos he makes. Now, I'll be honest, I'm kind of glad to see this because one of those things about the PS4 Pro, well, PS4s in general, is that you think yours is noisy, but you're never really sure if it's actually noisy or if they're all like it. And other people say, oh, God, it's like a jet engine play. Oh, and now people might remember Dan Naylor from God is a Geek, and he spoke to me because he bought the Red Dead one. Right. And he said, like, the disc drive is noisier than the fans now. And it's like, part of me is like, I just want this thing to... It gives me a headache. It actually, I've got really sensitive hearing, and the whistling gives me like an inner ear proper headache from that sometimes. I have to wear headphones to get through it. And that's proper first world problems. Like, man, what a whinging git I am. But the answer is no, I won't buy it. I can't afford one, especially when it's just a quality of life thing. It's just... trust me, I want to. I really do. I can't justify it this close to Christmas, man.
Yeah.
He also asks, what's the worst game you have bought on PlayStation or Xbox Store or eShop after too many post-prandial refreshments? Drink and Christmas digital sales equals buyer's regret.
See, I couldn't think of one.
Not that.
Like,
we don't have... This is going to sound like the biggest wanky thing ever. We're in a very fortunate position where most games we get come through our door that you and I will get to play some bit of.
Do you know what? I can answer that because I've just thought of one, and it was last Christmas. I treated myself to Final Fantasy 14.
Ooh.
And that was during like I talked a bit about it in our Slack with Mick, and I was like, I kind of fancied it, and I thought, yeah, go on then, and I got it, and I played a bit of it, and I was like, yeah, this is quite cool. I can see myself getting stuck into this. And then was about a week before I played it again, and then I couldn't play it. Why can't I play it? Because you need to sign up to Final Fantasy Online. Didn't fucking know that, did I? So that was like, no thanks. So I was pissed off, and that was one of my regrets because I was really enjoying it. And then I'm not paying on top of PS Plus to pay for a subscription to Final Fantasy Online. So that'll probably be mine.
I mean, I haven't bought it yet, but I'm planning on buying The Quiet Man and recording some video on it. I will be doing that. Like, I'm as silly as it sounds, even though it's obviously, you know, God is a Geek money funded by our Patreons. Patreon.com/God is a Geek, $1 a month. Get this podcast early. But even though it was funded by that, it's like $11.99. But I did see it for like $10.99, and I know it's going to be dog shit, but I kind of have to see it for myself. But I have to. He also says about Game Pass, like giving scope to try new games. What games have you tried for the first time and surprised you the most? Again, difficult one because I play kind of a bit of everything.
Is this from Game Pass or just in general?
I think he means general. I mean, the first time I played Guitar Hero 2, I sort of, being a bit of a guitar snob, I was like, oh, I won't enjoy this. I play real guitar, and like, wow, I loved that game. And it basically ended up with a house full of plastic guitars over the years, then multiple Rock Band drum kits, and then eventually the Ion drum kit, which I think I ended up binning, which is what a waste of money, but I couldn't get rid of the fucking thing, and it was in bits, so it was like, no one was going to buy it.
Yeah. Tetris Effect.
Really?
I wasn't expecting to like it as much as I did. That surprised me quite a lot, because I just thought it would be Tetris with some fancy graphics, and how wrong I was.
Fair enough.
Yeah, massively cathartic experience that was.
Matt King asks, do you each have a favourite album or artist? He says, I need new music to listen to, and today's charts hurt my ears. Chris, you go first on this one, mate.
I always go to one album when anyone asks me this, because my favourite band of all time, and it's my favourite album of all time. Band called Silverchair, and the album is called Neon Ballroom. Now, if that's too not depressing, if that's too heavy for you in terms of the being depressing, go and get Silverchair's Diorama, because that's a lot more lively, a lot more stuff going on that record. But yeah, Silverchair, Neon Ballroom. Failing that, Diorama.
For me, this is a very difficult question, and I'm going to have to give a few answers because I couldn't pick a single. And to be fair, he wants new music, so I'm going to give more than one. And you can, Chris, if you've got any more, feel free.
Yeah.
So one of my favourite artists of all time is the Manic Street Preachers, to the point where I helped run a fan site for that many years ago, long before going to Geek Days, and to the point where I pretty much followed them around the country when I could. Obviously I've always worked, but I followed them around the country, to the point where I saw them at a gig one night, drove back down somewhere to Reading Festival to see them at that festival. I've been to see them. I've seen James Dean Bradfield literally perform a solo acoustic gig on a mini ferry. They mean an awful lot to me. And I suppose the easiest recommendation would be either to go for the Holy Bible, which you want to talk about bleak, there's a bleak album for you, or Everything Must Go, which is literally the album afterwards, but kind of those two albums showcase the two different styles of most popular Manic Street Preachers. I love that band. Another band I adore is Jimmy Eat World. They're one of my favourite bands of all time. I don't feel like they ever let you down. I would go Futures from them, an album called Futures, which starts nice and loud. Bleed American, you can't go wrong with. I'd also say Clarity showcases an older style of the band. It's one of their earlier albums. And it ends with like a 16-minute sort of, I don't know how to describe it, just a breakdown. This is like a 3-minute song that ends up with another 13 minutes on the back of it. Jimmy Eat World. I would say also to go perhaps away from the more guitar-based, I'm a huge fan of Ben Folds, and his piano-led music, to the point that I don't have many regrets in life, but I've suffered from a bad back, and Ben Folds, he finally was touring in the UK, and I had tickets. It was in London. It was important enough to me that it's like, I'll go to London, and anyone who knows me knows how much I will not say that sentence. I hate going to London. But he was there, but I couldn't go. My back was just too bad. I couldn't face it. I couldn't have driven down there for 2 hours and back. It wouldn't have been the experience I wanted. Still gutted. One day he'll come and play Bournemouth or something near me, or Southampton, and I can just see him close to home. But I mean, anything of his really, or Ben Folds 5, like I wouldn't. Just fantastic artist. And the last one I'm going to give, I think, is The Living End, a band called The Living End, and I give that because they're a very sort of lesser known artists outside of Australia, where they're from. They are kind of like, I like Green Day. I'll preface this by saying I like Green Day, but they're Green Day if Green Day were fronted by incredibly gifted musicians. Chris Chaney is a phenomenal guitarist. He's got to actually a better singer over the years as well, but I prefer it when he was a bit more raw. I would say listen to Roll On. The album Roll On is the one I discovered, and it's just like political anthems and but also mixed in with songs about Uncle Harry pissing in the bath. That is literally the chorus. Uncle Harry pissing in the bath. Uncle Harry pissing in the bath. Uncle Harry pissing in the bath. He's pissing in. Every time we turn around, he's doing it in the bath again. It mixed in with literally a song called Roll On, the album title, which is about unionisation and standing up for workers' rights. It's a bit of a strange lyrical mix, but like proper raw, hard guitars, great solos. I do like non-guitar music, I should say, but like I think that's my roots are in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chris, any others you wanna?
Oh, plenty.
I've had 4. Go for it.
Okay, so one of my favourite albums of the last few years was by someone called Juliet Baker, who she just plays guitar. That's it. But it's she's so talented. She's so haunting, and the album's ridiculously poignant to me for when it came out. So Home, I think it is, by Juliet Baker. Churches, go and listen to Churches. They're phenomenal. Electro
who a band that I thought actually was pronounced Shivashay for a long time.
Yeah, they have to be awkward, but it sets them apart from people Googling actual Churches. So it's Churches with a V instead of a U. But Every Open Eye by Churches is one of my favourite albums of all time. Anything by Twin Atlantic, Biffy Clyro.
Oh, Biffy must be due a new album soon.
Yeah, I think they are.
Right, because that was 2016, I think, the last one. Ellipses.
And they've reached a point now where they've got a lot of good albums. They've I wouldn't say they've slowly gotten less appealing, because I don't think they have. But like the kind of pinnacle for me was like the Vertigo of Bliss.
and also Only Revolutions, which I cane that album. So yeah, Biff Clyro, and then finally bit of Johnny Cash, American Recordings. Any of the American Recordings albums, go and listen to them, but also try and go and watch something with like something funny afterwards.
Yeah,
it's heavy, but it's great. But yeah,
I'm also going to quickly throw one last recommendation in for the Menzingers album After the Party, which Adam Carroll recommended to me, and like that album's just faultless, absolutely faultless. Last question, David Ayers: is it too early to put up a Christmas tree? Now, I don't know what Chris's answer is going to be. I have a very heartfelt one. So, Chris, what's your answer? So I don't know who should go first.
Yours is a heartfelt answer.
I'm going to avoid the comedy and just go from the heart. This one.
Okay. If you want to put it up. I haven't. But no. I'm doing it on Sunday. But I ain't got a problem if you want to do it now. Why not? It's Christmas.
Okay. So I think obviously the time this question was sent, it was not even close to December. I think that there are people who are like, oh, for fuck's sake, don't put it up. For God's sake, it's not even December. I'm very much a believer in follow your bliss, right? As long as what you're doing doesn't hurt anyone, but it makes you happy, then you be happy. And I am nobody to make you feel unhappy. It's kind of like the thing, to take it back to games a bit, is if people it's kind of almost having a go at people if they're enjoying Fallout 76. I'm not enjoying it. It doesn't hurt me if you do, I know a guy who puts his Christmas tree up in September, okay? He is an elderly gentleman, and his daughter comes to visit him. She lives quite far away, and she helps him put his Christmas tree up, and they take the family photograph that they send out on their cards, and he leaves it up, and it brings him a little bit of joy and a little bit of happiness, right? And Christmas can be a real miserable time for some. It can be a really joyous time for others. But if having a fake tree up and some neon lights around your staircase or your windows makes you happy, makes you feel warmer in a horrible, cold period of the time of life, where everyone's miserable because it's pissing down with rain all the time. It's dark before most people finish work, or it's dark when you get up and when you finish work. Some people, all they see is the inside of a building and darkness outside. If putting up a Christmas tree and some neon lights helps you get through it, then that's great. I'm absolutely behind that, because I enjoy Christmas because it's almost a built-in excuse that I know I have to spend time with my family. You can't stop me, work. You can't stop me. I have to do this. This is the law. And I know other people don't have it so lucky as I do. So when I see people who've put a tree up or put their lights on early, and a lot of people are doing it, and I think it's a symptom of modern life. I think it's a symptom. People are doing their shopping earlier. People are putting their trees up earlier. I think it's a symptom of how, I can only speak from people who live in the UK, of how miserable people are over here, man. And if doing this makes you feel a little bit of warmth in your heart, you should do it, man. You should make yourself feel happy. If you could do that, if you've got the power to do that, you should do it. I'm not going to, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't. So follow your bliss, really. As long as you ain't hurting anyone, chase your bliss, And that is kind of a podcast. That's a bit of an impassioned speech, a bit early in the year. We normally save those for the Game of the Year podcasts, which we are planning. We are desperately planning to try and find dates we're all available to get those to you. If you're a Patreon, you'll hear them all early. You're trusted, because you'll get to find out things like what our Game of the Year are before anyone else. And we've not yet had anyone ruin it. So that's because all our Patreons are awesome. And so are you, if you're not a Patreon. Normally, every Patreon listener gets
you're a wankers.
Yeah, I'll cut that bit. No, normally all Patreon Patreon podcasts get like an extended section. We've been really pushed for time this week. No, that's why it's just Chris and I here. But we've had a good chat, good natter, chin wag, other words and phrases that mean the same thing. But if you go to patreon.com/GodIsAGeek, you may actually start to hear ads at the beginning of the episodes. But you won't do if you're a Patreon listener. That premium podcast will always be ad-free. It will always be delivered early. Well, assuming we get it done early, which we just about will this week. And it will always be, again, normally have an extended section where we talk about stuff like music, actually, like movies, like generally industry stuff that doesn't fit the main podcast. But yeah, if you if you've got this far and you're wondering why was there an advert at the start, I think you probably know and understand why there is. If you really hate adverts, $1 a month will eliminate them, and you can go to Patreon and get it to your phone like anyone else. It's fine. It's easy enough to do. That's patreon.com/GodIsAGeek. We give away codes on there. We give early access. We talk to people who like us enough to support the site. We let them know what's going on at the site. Chris, thank you ever so much for your time this week.
No worries. Thank you for having me.
You can follow Chris at FirstAvenger83 on Twitter. I'm at JebusF, JEBUSF, and of course at God is a Geek. And if you like the podcast, I know I say this every week, but it really helps if you subscribe and if you share it with a friend. Just one friend. Say, hey, I listen to this cool podcast. These guys are great. Listen to this. Try it out. Why don't you? You don't like it? Fine. Fuck you. That's cool. But do also review it on iTunes. That really helps. I know people don't all listen via iTunes nowadays, but just using your iTunes iCloud account, going and logging in, reviewing it, just raises the people's the visibility, and that helps us, because the more visible we get, the more people want to pay for ads on the podcast, and the more money we get for the site, which means the more things we can do. It's consumerism. It's brilliant, isn't it? Really. Chris, thanks again, and everyone else, we will speak to you next week or whenever you choose to listen. Bye bye for now.